The production volume of the hardest metal in the school district this year has increased by 40% compared to last year. This is a huge gain. Mr. Royman's plan suddenly came true. Although the school district side is reluctant, the contract signed at the time of creation is still valid. They cannot oppose us. Voices full of energy called discussion came and went. Green eyes stared blankly at the faces of the guild officials who could be considered full of joy. It doesn't matter if I stay here. The chair beneath her was so luxurious that she even felt a little uneasy. After sitting down again, Eina seemed to shrink into a ball. This is the second floor of the guild headquarters. In the spacious decision room, guild leader Royman and other high-level officials are here. Excuse me, squad leader Remel. Why was a low-level employee like me called to the second floor? I am not qualified to be compared with the squad leaders and senior cadres. Are you short? You trained a first-level adventurer in a short period of time. Isn't this achievement enough to treat you as a cadre candidate? What? Squad leader. She asked the person sitting next to her in a low voice, but it turned out that this person was usually stern. The boss laughed. Eina couldn't help but make an embarrassed sound, like the adventurer she was responsible for. In the huge guild headquarters that boasts a majestic appearance like a pantheon, the word second floor has a special meaning. Guild officials like Eina usually take care of business on the first floor of the guild headquarters. Access to the second floor and above is prohibited except for skyscraper personnel and the squad leader who supervises first floor personnel. Although she went there sometimes, it was only when Royman and the others called her. A strict boundary is drawn between the first and second floors of the guild headquarters, highlighting class differences. At least, this is not a place where a receptionist can enter at will. Overall, this meeting was a point of disagreement with huge impact. Therefore, there needs to be someone close to the adventurer and who has a similar position. What's more, this matter is also related to the school district. Chief Remel looked at the meeting that was still being discussed and continued in a volume that could only be heard by Eina beside him. You graduated from the school district. You are suitable for providing reference opinions. That's what I said. My classmate Misha also studied at the school district. Misha can't do this. It can disrupt the entire meeting. Eina responded grudgingly, but was blocked by her somewhat exaggerated statement. The cat-legged chair creaked softly, which seemed to reflect Eina's heart. I was allowed to sit here, but the guild leader just looked at me, which seemed to say, don't talk too much. Eina, who was already feeling tired, looked at me. There were 10 people sitting on one side of the long ebony wooden table, and Royman was sitting on the top seat. He looked happy and was about to speak. That won't be a problem. We can finally start implementing it. This access plan that connects the surface to the deep underground city. Eina attended the lively meeting and browsed the available information again. He says, build a well in the dungeon and put in a big elevator. It is a shortcut prepared for adventurers. Once this access plan is completed, the adventurer's exploration efficiency will greatly increase. This will especially provide a great benefit to the expedition conducted by the Loki family, but it can also greatly promote the growth of Finn and the others. What the extremely enthusiastic Royman said was true. Dungeon exploration, especially expedition, led by advanced adventurers, should begin on the first floor. It takes time and effort to get to the target floor and, most importantly, costs. For example, if you want to explore the 51st floor, you must first use some supplies to reach the 50th floor. The large army will also be exhausted and unable to exert its full strength, even if the largest faction in the city, the Loki family, the same thing may happen. For any family, the current expedition is a big gamble. Even an abnormal situation will affect whether the outcome will be success or failure. It can be said that it is very inefficient. But if this plan can be carried out, the adventurers will be able to save this stage and will not need to invest as much energy as they do now. Adventurers' more efficient exploration also means they can bring more benefits to the Labyrinth City. A super bet, with high risk and high reward, has become the efficient game of low risk and high reward. For Royman and his top executives who run the city, this issue must be approved. The materials for the huge pit are all obtained from the school district alchemy, the hardest metal. This way you don't have to worry about being destroyed by monsters. As long as you avoid the area where the floor master will appear during construction, it will be absolutely foolproof. The one who took the stage at this moment was Distrito Escalar. The alchemy subject of the school district, the alchemy mechanism that refines rare metals such as the hardest metals, has the highest level of technical knowledge in the world. During the voyage around the world, resources and talents were gathered on this giant ship. After repeated technological innovations, its status in precious metal refining could no longer be shaken. Even the most famous and hardest refined metal, Gang Aliha, can maintain a certain production volume every year. Naturally, production is number one in the world, which is why Orario maintains its huge investment in the school district. Without the harder metal provided by the school district, it would be impossible to complete the huge pit that is protected from the dungeon's destruction. And with the school district returning this time to Orario, the stock of the hardest metal reached the total demand calculated by the guild. If this plan succeeds, it will be a great achievement comparable to the Tower of Babel. If it promotes the growth of adventurers, then Orario's sad wish can be fulfilled. Everyone, a new era is coming. The atmosphere in the decision-making room was extremely lively. The cadres even had visions of the enormous wealth and unprecedented fame they imagined in their minds. Royman's proposition can be recognized in some aspects. After hearing this plan, a number of high-level adventurers will also be able to express understanding. But even so, it's still very upsetting to talk about this on paper. Eina looked to the side. Remel said nothing, as if it had nothing to do with him. Eina interpreted this as, you can do whatever you want. So from now on, I will be considered to have agreed to the plan. I'm sorry. Can you give your opinion? As a result, Eina still couldn't hold back and plucked up the courage to raise her hand. Royman, whose momentum was thwarted, looked at her confused and suspicious that she was in the way. What is wrong? The pit plan gives adventurers more options to take shortcuts. It's actually very attractive and an epic-making idea. But I still feel like we need to think more about safety issues. Are you entering such a big circle? What do you mean? Until now, the dungeon has killed many adventurers, and the lower levels and deep levels are also the source of abnormal situations that even high-level adventurers cannot completely deal with, connecting the dungeon, the lower level, and the deep level, directly to the surface. It's still scary. Relying on the Tower of Babel as the lid of the labyrinth, and the god of creation Arenas, people barely manage and operate the dungeon because of their prayer. This is the main premise. Even if the hardest metal shaft, the indestructible, giant pillar, is prepared, if something goes wrong and the shaft is occupied, the worst-case scenario can occur. Building a well carries the risk of monsters returning to the surface. Furthermore, if a foreign object is inserted into the dungeon, it is likely to cause some kind of dangerous situation. This has been discussed many times before. And the conclusion is that there is no problem. Arenas, the god of prayer. And you probably don't know, but we already have something that won't cause a ruckus in the dungeon. The artificial labyrinth is a good example. Even within the guild, this information is controlled, so Eina, at the base level, has no way of knowing this, but in fact, the artificial labyrinth, this discovery is also equivalent to boosting the silo plan. The top management thought this way. There is a huge man-made maze connecting each floor and adjacent to it, but the underground city is silent. So, even if another man-made object is inserted, there will be no accident. The most important thing is that, with the cooperation of the Freya family, almost all of the hardest metal doors scattered in the man-made maze have been removed. Plan for use on axes. It can be said that after taking into account the large amount that will be obtained in the artificial dungeon, this plan has advanced a lot. The artificial dungeon that the guild leader mentioned, I don't know exactly what it is, but through the armed monster, this incident, and the rumor among adventurers that there is a story that directly connects Deadless Street and the dungeon. The artificial labyrinth, Eina was vaguely aware of the truth. She frowned and found other entry points to express her own opinions.